Hi guys, we love you. Okay, I'm coming back to make a small video on the Chris Watts, the audio release that came out on the 3rd of the 7th, 19. Well guys, what is there to say? I've listened to a few of them, bits and pieces here and there. He said a lot of the same, as we thought, what happened. Our suspicions and of the case, what could have happened that day, what could have happened that day, what didn't happen that day. And obviously he wanted to talk, but there's some that he didn't really want to talk. They had to start forcing it out of him because he was feeling so bad what he had done, and he could hardly get his words out at sometimes. But he did chat away. Man, this man can talk. It's a lot about him, what he could have had, what he don't have, what he's missing. It's all coming up. What he could have done, what he should have done, all those kind of things. Now, we'll kind of start where Shannon comes home that morning on the Monday early hours of the morning at 1:48 a.m. in the morning after getting dropped off by Nicole Atkinson. Well, she gets in the house, they have a little chat. I don't know, they have a little chat and then a little argument. They make up, they have sex, she goes back to sleep. Okay, we kind of get that far. She gets back to sleep. And then Chris gets ready for work. I'm not even sure what time he says. I think about 4 o'clock or whatever. Because he said he's getting ready for work. And he normally gets ready for work like 4:30. So anyway, he says he's ready for work. And this is when he says he wakes Shannon up because, well, he's waking her up. Not sure why he's waking her up. Waking her up to tell her I'm going to work. Why do you have to wake her up? Anyway, he wakes her up and they have another argument. They have an emotional conversation, and this is where he apparently told her that this ain't working, I want a divorce and stuff like that. Well, when I was listening to it, I didn't hear the part where she said, fine, you'll never see the kids again. Did anybody hear that part? I know that was said with the Dr. Phil, but when I was listening to him say they had an argument, and this is what he did. They had an argument, blah, blah, blah. Then he gets on top of her. He straddles her, and while he's straddling her, he's kind of on the stomach saying, get off, you're hurting me, or something like that. But he's on there, and then all hell breaks loose. This is when he goes in for the kill. He starts strangling her, right? But okay. This is what he's saying. He starts strangling her. But didn't they say the autopsies? The autopsy said, was she strangled? But he's saying he strangled her. But the thing is, she didn't fight back. That is true. This is why they thought she was asleep, because she has no defense wounds kind of on her. Like she was sleeping when this happened. But that still might be true. But this is his story. He said he straddled her and she wasn't. They asked him, why didn't she fight back? And he said he was kind of asking himself that. Why ain't she fighting back? Was he? Was he really asking himself that? Why ain't she fighting me back? Well, he said He lost his mind. He says, and he don't know what happened. He said, but he couldn't stop. He couldn't stop. And he was like, why can't I stop? Why can't I stop? Do you know what I mean? This is what he's thinking. Okay, why can't you stop? You know, it's funny how he can remember that one. He can remember that. Why can't I stop? Why wasn't she fighting you back? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know why she did not fight me back. Now, guys, can you believe that one? Do you think that he woke her up to chat to her? Or, because he said she was sleeping. Or he just got on her, straddled her, started strangling her, and she couldn't move. I think that's what happened. I think he just looked at her and said, that's it. You pissed me off. And he strangled her. Because why wouldn't she slap his face or something, or do something if she could with her hands? So, do you know what I mean? And he said the reason why there was mascara and her mascara was running was because they had an emotional conversation earlier and her mascara was running. It was from that. So he's saying that she did not have time to go and wipe her makeup off. Anyway, that's his story. I'm just trying to say little bits here. But I just wanted to know, guys, was that part I asked earlier, that did Chris say to Shanann, I want a divorce? I didn't hear that part. I must have missed it. I'm not sure. I mean, him speaking now. Not the Dr. Phil or anybody, because they're the ones that said, he said he wanted a divorce, and that's when he got emotional. But I didn't hear him say that himself, Chris Watts. So, maybe he did. But you know what? A man, this is what he says, he has sex with her. They have sex. Now he's cheating on his wife, and now he's cheating with his wife on the girlfriend. Okay? He's just a shit, isn't he? Now, anyway, I'd like to know why he was having sex with her. Why would he have sex with her? Give me one good reason why she, as tired as she was, or anyway, I just don't know why they were having sex. That'd be the last thing on my mind, being pregnant, feeling sick. I just want to go to sleep. Anyway, that's his story, and he's sticking to it. And then he goes on about Nicole. Now, he goes on about, he says that morning why he woke her up was another reason he was worried. He said he was worried. What you worried about? They asked him, the detectives. Well, he said, I was worried about that they be gone when I get home from work today. They be gone. Well, who do you mean? Shanann and the kids? He says, yeah, either that or the doors will be locked and I won't be able to get in. He said, I was worrying about that. I was worrying about it. Yeah. And they kind of asked him, because he said Shanann couldn't afford to live in Colorado. No. See, you can afford to live in Colorado if you move out of that neighborhood. Right? And don't live in such a big house. You could get out of that neighborhood and get a nice little house, what you can afford, and that would be fine. No, she couldn't live in that big house with all those bills. No, certainly. But anyway, so he was scared that, you know, she may move out of state. So, you know, all these things about what's going on. She's going to take the kids, and he wants those kids. Now she's going to take them away. See? She's going to take them away. She's already talking about taking them away. Not living in Colorado. Well, that means he's not going to see them, is he? He's not going to see them like he thought he would, like every other weekend or a couple times during the week, or whatever the case may be. He's not going to see them. So you know this is playing a part in his head. Whatever he's saying, it's not completely true, because she's rolling the ball here by saying this, and it's not the first time. It had been said some other time. It wasn't the night. He was just thinking about it. Thinking about this could happen. So anyway, he's getting a bit, he's probably getting a bit scared and pissed off about that. That his kids might not be here when he gets home. And what is he going to do? Because he's the one saying, I love them kids. They're my world. They're my world. They're my world. He's the one saying it. Yeah. And you drove 45 minutes to an hour to your work site. And you were thinking, oh my God, what shall I do? What shall I do? Shaking in his boots, what shall I do? I'm so stressed out. My mind is gone. That's kind of how he's talking all the way to the work. What shall I do now? What shall I do now? He also says Shanann was on the floor. Not the kids. See, when this Dr. Phil and his lawyer, her lawyer, the mother's and father's lawyer, for the wrongful death suit. See, even he can't get it right. See, that's what you get when you get secondhand information. Chris Watts said Shanann was on the floor. Yes. And the lawyer said the kids were on the bed or the floor. And then they took the safety belt off, and I'm like, well, which is it? Are they on the floor or are they in the chair? Well, anyway, apparently Shanann was the one on the floor, and Chris said that their mother was sleeping. So after he killed her, Bella walked into the room, and he was wrapping her up in the sheet. And Bella asked, what's wrong with, Mama? And he said, she's not feeling well. Anyway, he wrapped her up, and he says he packed his truck in, and then he put Shanann in the truck. So she was in the truck first. So this is why nobody see her go in the truck. And he put her on the floor. Put her in the floor very nicely. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, now, so that goes on, and they kind of ask him, what did you do with the kids? Were they alive? Were they alive? Yeah. So they want to know, what did you do with the kids when that happened? And now, this is when he starts having a hard time talking about it, because he knows what he did to them, but he couldn't say right away what happened. But anyway, the kids ended up in the truck and took their toy and their blankets with them, and he put them on the car seat. And they obviously had their feet on their mother, because she was on the floor. Now, they were kind of sleeping. Bella wasn't, but Cece was kind of sleeping at that time. And then he started going to work, saying, oh my God, what have I done? What shall I do? What shall I do? I never thought this would ever happen to me. My life is over. This is the kind of things he was thinking. He wasn't thinking about calling the police. They asked him, why didn't you call the police? He said, yeah, well, the other people asked me that. Why didn't you just call the police? Well, you weren't in my shoes. You weren't in my shoes. People react differently. Yeah, that's his answer. Which is true. People do react differently. But they don't go out 45 minutes and take their kids and think about how they're going to get rid of them. But Anyway, that's what he did, so we can't deny that. We can't do nothing about that. Then he said a few things about Nicole and the sex life, that Nicole loved to have sex. He said, well, Shanann was in South Carolina, that he felt like a free man, and he felt like he didn't have children at that time because he said that he never went home. He's apart from a couple of times, he stayed at Nicole's home. And every time Shanann would call, he'd be at her house, and he'd just pop outside and take her call, or just text her. He said, so that's where he spent most of his time. And he said, by staying there, he wasn't reminded that he was a father and had these problems. And he never see the pictures. He couldn't be reminded. So he forgot. He forgot he was a husband and a father. That's what he said. It made him forget. See, it made him forget that he had obligations. But the thing that's messed up with me is the last week he went down to North Carolina. Ugh. Do you know what? If you're divorcing your wife and everything, why are you going down to North Carolina to be with her? No. Well, anyway, this man didn't know what he was doing. This man didn't know whether he was getting divorced, he's staying with her, or what the hell was going on. That's my opinion. Stringing Nicole along. Or maybe she was stringing him along. I don't blinking know. But he obviously was not getting a divorce. And he wasn't even making any attempts to do so. So that was kind of that little piece, which is not really nothing new, is it, guys? We kind of knew that's how it happened. He says he kind of liked Nicole for a long time. He kind of chasing her. Yeah. A man with no game is chasing her. Anyway, he plucked up enough courage or whatever. The rest is history. He said he was kind of shy, sometimes embarrassed to talk to people. I think he was probably scared of saying the wrong things or coming out the wrong way. I guess he's not used to chatting up women, I guess, and stuff like that. But anyway, he said Nicole liked sex and she liked sex, so why not? Let's go for it. And then his wife had sex a little bit. Why not go for that too? So, yeah. He's beginning to make me feel like either he's with two women that are sex maniacs or he's a sex maniac himself. Because there's a lot of sex going on. Every way, which way, loose. Do you know what I mean? They says, well, why did you have sex with Shanann? Because he said when she came home, they had a little argument and they kind of made up and had a love session. He says they had sex. That's what he says, but we don't know if it's really true or not. But this is what he's saying. They said, didn't you find it strange? You got a mistress, you're seeing Nicole. Well, yeah, I kind of find it strange having sex, with his wife, And because you know what? He's having sex with his wife and he's having sex with his mistress. So he's cheating on them both. Oh, God. No shame in his game. If he didn't like his wife the way he loves her anymore, he wouldn't be having sex with her because she wouldn't turn him on. Right? Because he's done with her. He makes her sick. He don't want nothing to do with her. Now he's found a new love. And she excites me. And we have good sex. But he still says he has sex with her. And she got pregnant. Somehow. He wasn't too happy about it. That is the truth. He was not too happy about it. But anyway, he got her pregnant. And you know, like Nicole, she says like she didn't know about the baby. Well, that's what you get. Don't mess with married men. Unless you know they're telling you the truth inside out. Never believe everything you hear, that's for sure, until you know different. Till you get to know them more. And sometimes still people don't know. But anyway, that was that little bit of that going on. About the sex part. You know, having sex with your wife after you just had an argument. That part ain't making up. But, you know, I'd like to know how her phone ended up on the couch. He said a trigger. He mentioned trigger. He said something triggered him. Something blew up. And he woke up. And he says, I don't feel this is what he said. You know, he blew up. You know, it's a trigger. He said something triggered him. Well, anyway, he said when he woke Shanann up, and this is what he told her, he says to cancel the Aspen trip. The Aspen trip they were going to go on in a 4 or 5-star hotel. He says, cancel that and let's just go to Brighton instead. Wherever that is. Is that just down the road? I don't know. Let's just go to Brighton instead. And I guess, you know, she had booked that to make a date for them to, you know, to be together without the kids, just them two. You know, no Thrive or nothing like that. Just them two to be alone and chat and talk about their marriage. That was what that was all about. So anyway, as we know, it was canceled, and Chris was the one that canceled it. Anyway, we said about the mascara. The reason why the mascara was because they had emotional chat, and she went to bed, and that's how the mascara smudged. He said he straddled her. He got on top of her. He straddled her. I don't know what she was saying. I don't know what she was saying for him to strangle her. And he keeps saying strangling. He said, I strangled her. And I never let go. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't let go. I couldn't stop myself. These are the kind of words he was saying. I don't know why I couldn't stop. And why wasn't she fighting? I don't know why she wasn't fighting. But she wasn't fighting. And I don't know why. Well, guys, do you know why she wasn't fighting? Because maybe it didn't happen that way. You know, she was probably sleeping. And that's when he jumped on her. She had no time to react. He got on top of her, or how he did it, and boom. So anyway, he said she wasn't fighting, and he doesn't know why. And they asked him, well, did she give up then? Did she give up? She just let you kill her, more or less? You know what I mean? Yeah. He said, I don't know why, but I couldn't stop, and she didn't stop me. That's kind of more or less how he's saying it. And he strangled her. Because he uses the word strangle. He strangled her till she was dead, and he made sure of it. Well, how long were you strangling her for? I don't know, but it felt like forever. It felt like forever because I couldn't let go. I couldn't let go. So it felt like forever. Yeah. And he said he just, you know, strangled her and just took the life out of her. He said, like, I snapped. Like I snapped. Did you snap? Like I snapped. And then the detectives are like, yeah, you know how they were. They were kind of laughing and joking around with him, having a little laugh. But in all seriousness, they were kind of trying to get him to tell the story. But they were still laughing. It doesn't matter. They were still laughing and having a little joke. Which, yeah, whatever. Anyway, they said, when you strangle somebody, it's more passionate. It's more personal than shooting somebody, say. Do you know what I mean? And Chris goes, yeah, well, I don't know how to use a gun. You know, he don't know how to use a gun. He never went hunting. And he doesn't know how to use a gun. So, maybe if he did, he may have used a gun. We don't know. But he don't know nothing about guns. He said nothing about guns. Well, you know what? There's a lot of people that don't know nothing about guns. And when they plan on doing something, they go learn how to use one. Just saying. Some people do that. Well, anyway, that's what he said. And he said when she was gone, he said, I was shaken. I didn't know what to do. He's going, what have I done? What have I done? You know, and that's the part when they say, why didn't you call 911? And he's like, well, people react different. You don't know when you're in this situation what you're going to do. That's what he said. So anyway, we know he didn't call 911. That's when Bella came in. And then, you know, he took him to the car, like I said, wrapped her up, took her down the car. Bella said, what you doing? He said, you know, Mama's sick, put her in the car. And off they go. Now they're in the car. They're in the back seat of the car. The mother's on the floor. They kind of got their feet dangling over her body. They are alive in the car for 45 minutes to an hour. Then he gets to the site. And this is when he takes Shannon's body and puts her where he put her. And where were the kids? Well, the kids were still in the truck. That's what he said. They were in the truck. He probably told them to wait there. And, you know, it's a little dark, you know. And, you know. And he said, you know, I really wanted to hurt myself. I wanted to take my own life. I wanted to kill myself. I just didn't know how to do it. So he don't know how to kill himself. But you know what? There's a big tank of oil there. But the thing is, very dangerous. Fire is very dangerous. So he couldn't set fire to nobody. So was he going to set fire to himself? And he talks about an explosion. And he talks about the gun. He don't know how to use a gun because he never went hunting. And so he was talking about hurting himself. And they said, how are you going to hurt yourself? Well, now he really don't know how he's going to hurt. Because he's going to hurt himself, but then he's talking his way out of it because of other people. He said, instead of like his children are going to get hurt, he's thinking of people around him, like his co-workers might get hurt. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about your kids getting hurt and getting blown up. Just worry about your co-workers and people that are around that site. Yeah, that's kind of how he came out and said that one. Well, he said on the way to Survey, to this work job site, he was nervous, he was shaking. Yeah. He was all that while he drove all that long way to the site, the work site, Survey. He also says, why could I not have saved my kids, my girls? Why? Then he goes, why Oh God, that sounds like Nicole. Why? Why? Anyway, that's what he says. He says, why could I not have saved my kids? Like, what the hell? Anyway, he couldn't understand why he could not save his kids. And he was having a kind of a hard job explaining that one. You know, who died after Shannon? And this is where he pauses a little bit, you know, because he couldn't speak very good. Anyway, he says, Cece. Cece was the second one to die. He said, they asked kind of, was she sleeping? I don't know if she was sleeping. I think she was kind of sleeping. And he gets the blue blanket and puts it over her head until she was dead. But what was Bella doing when you were doing this? He says, nothing. She didn't say nothing. She was just sitting there. Yeah? What did you do to Bella? Well, I did the same thing. You know, he did the same thing. I put a blanket over her head. I couldn't look at her. I just did it. And what was Bella's last words? You see, he never said Bella was asking for her grandparents. The last words that Bella said was, Daddy, no. Daddy, no. That was Bella's last words. So Chris Watts says, Daddy, no. Daddy, no. And Chris Watts says, I will hear them. He will hear them words for the rest of his life. Daddy, no. Daddy, no. He said he could not bear to look at her. I'm thinking that Bella was the hard one. You know, the hard one to kill. And if maybe Bella hadn't walked into the home and see her mother there, and see him doing what he was doing, even though she did not see him kill her, but she knew he wrapped her up in a sheet and put her in the back of the truck. So I think that's why there was no excuse for what he did. That was his plan, and he had to do it because he had gone too far. But you know what? He could have done it a different way. Even if your kid did see, he could have still called the police. But anyway, like he said, you never know what reaction you're going to have. But in him, any sane person wouldn't react that way. They would call 911. So, you know, his story, I don't think was quite true what he was saying. He couldn't call the police. Because he could have called the police and said, I've snapped. We've had an argument. I've snapped. She said this and whatever he wants to say and get himself a lawyer. You know, he could have fought this. No. Then he went on to take him out of the house, remove the bodies from the crime scene, and then take him to a site. And this becomes a plan thing. See, this is premeditated murder. Maybe the wife wasn't premeditated murder. If he, you know, if we're to believe what he said, maybe that wasn't premeditated, but the kids were premeditated. But you know, he's saying this because this is his confession. This is his confession, and he is talking about when he was in prison, about prisoners talking to him. Whoever's talking to him, you know, inmates, the pastor, And they're saying to him, yeah, man, you must have really snapped. You must have really snapped, man. Yeah, well, he's talking to these prisoners. And I don't know who he's talking to. He's been talking to people. Now, they're saying that in his interview, he's using some big words. Big words. You know, like lawyer-type words. He's using some intelligent words. Chris Olwuso said that he has a very good memory. He has a very good memory. And he said that comes in useful. He has a very good memory. Well, he doesn't have a very good fucking memory when it comes to the murder of his wife and 2 children, does he? Because many times he can't remember. So, I don't know. Maybe he's good with numbers or something. You know, he said he's very good at reciting the Bible. That he's memorized it. Well, how come you haven't memorized the death? Memorize the death of your children and how exactly it happened. Oh, but that's too much, isn't it? That's too much. That's too hurtful. That's too hurtful to go back in your mind. But anyway, that's his confession so far. I think that's all we needed to know. We just wanted to know. He also says, no, the children were dead before he put them in the oil. Listen, these kids' bodies weren't even cold before he put them in that oil. They weren't even cold. And, you know, we're saying on the ride to the oil site, what was he going to do? He had no clue. He was shaking. What have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Now, he had not a clue what he was going to do, right? Not a clue. Well, how funny he killed them and never just put those kids' body in a ditch like they did the mother, his wife. He put her in a ditch. Why did you spend so much time putting your kids in the oil? Why didn't you just put them in the ditch too? I mean, yeah? So, that part I don't understand. He could have quite easily dug another hole. Listen, they say you don't have enough time. He had enough time to open them tanks, each one of them, and climb them stairs. I don't know. He had enough time to put them all 3 in the dirt in a grave. And then, you know, another time he was going to go back there and, you know, I expect he would have went back there again and tried to sort it out, you know, because as he didn't have no time that Monday morning to do anything. So, guys, it looks like it wasn't a planned thing. Some of it was planned, but him taking them out to the oil tanks and putting them in the oil, that wasn't pre-planned like they say. But this is his words. This is his words. This is him saying that. So this is what he's saying. Whether, you know, all this has come out now, and we're feeling even fucking shittier than he did before he opened his big damn mouth. Now they were alive, and now he premeditated. Now he really did kill him. We're thinking, oh, he probably strangled him in the bed. Well, I don't know what the idea of these sheets smelling. You know, like he said, no, he didn't really say the sheets were smelling. I think it was Nicole that said the sheets were smelling, because he said the sheets smell. I don't know what that was all about. But they could not have smelled a death, could they? There was not a smelling of death. There wasn't decomposed body on the sheets. It was nothing like that, because they were alive when they went to the truck. So there was no decomposing of anybody's body, because they were taken out of the house too fast. And I guess they didn't have anything in the truck because he wrapped her up. Yeah. I don't think they found any fluids or anything in the truck. I don't know. I don't think they did. But you never know. They found a lot of evidence, and they had it in evidence, sealed, but it wasn't used because it never went to trial. And so, you know, the detectives and everybody had a lot of information that never got released, and probably never will get released. And so they've got the part of the jigsaw puzzle, the last part of the jigsaw puzzle. It's all come together. He's gave his confession. He did talk a little bit about the relationship with his mother and his father. They had a good relationship, but the mother was strained, and the mother was strained with Shanann, and he didn't talk to his mother for a little while, and he never called her up until, sometime in August, first week in August, I don't know, 6th, 7th or something. He didn't really want to talk to his mother. Well, anyway, he was torn between those two, and had enough of all the crap that's going on. He talks a little bit about that, but it's all the same thing. It's all that we know already. We know all about their relationship. And I think he just wants to talk to his dad. And he never mentions his sister. He never mentions, well, he didn't really mention a lot of people, but what I'm saying, this was just a confession. But as he was talking about his dad, he never mentioned, a friend or his cousin or his sister or his nephews and nieces, if he has any. I know he has a couple, but I'm not sure if they're both boys or both girls. But anyway, his nieces and nephews, he doesn't mention anybody. I think he's just gonna go away. And hopefully this is it. Hopefully this is it. He's gonna go away, and we're probably never gonna hear about him again, unless he dies of early age. He dies of early age, because we know he's talking in them prisons. You think you're gonna be fine in those prisons because you talk? Man, prisoners are two-faced. Okay, we got that one. They're gonna, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. Maybe he's got a death wish, because he was talking about how to kill himself, but he didn't know how to kill himself. He thought maybe they could all be together. But I don't know, those lawyers, investigators were talking to him, and he was like, yeah, well, maybe we could all be like together. We could all be like, well, you couldn't be together, all together in life. What makes you think that you're going to be all together in death? This man's a screwy head, okay? This man's screwy head. And this is, so he's talking about death. So, maybe he does have a death wish. Maybe he's going to say what he did was wrong. What he's done wrong, and he's not going to be able to live with that, because he can't bear to hear his daughter say, Daddy, no. Daddy, no. Daddy, no. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this latest development and the audio? Do you think he's telling the truth? Do you still don't know what's true? Or do you really think he's telling the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? And of course he found God, so because he said it so, and he said that he's recited a lot of verses. So anyway, guys, let's have your thoughts and have a discussion, and thank you for stopping by.